Story 1. One of my favorite sayings is, principles only mean something if you stand up for them when it's inconvenient. When people stand up for what's right at a time when it isn't convenient, that's a good person. Story 2. They do not need a list of rules or external validation in order to make decisions for the sake of the greater good. Good people do not commit armed burglary because it is illegal. They do not commit armed burglary because it is a bad human thing to do. Story 3. They authentically apologize when they are wrong or when they make a mistake without anyone asking them to. They can let go of ego for the sake of what is right. On the opposite side of the same coin, they have a forgiving nature. Story 4. People who are able to laugh at themselves, especially after falling down in public. And they are totally okay with others laughing as well because sometimes it's just silly being human. Story 5. They hold themselves accountable for their actions. They apologize and try to make amends. They are willing to learn from their mistakes and misconceptions. Story 6. It's easy to be a good person when things are easy. A true good person will remain good when they are angry or scared. If your morals evaporate under stress, you do not actually have morals. Story 7. They attract good people regardless of social income or ranking. It was the first sign I had that my significant other was a good person. He was very liked at work as a manager, and whenever he had friends around, they all seemed to have good energy, like good values and qualities. Also, people felt comfortable enough to share personal things with him. I did. I worked a year with him, and the feeling that he was good just got stronger with time. 8 years later, I was spot on with my character judgment. Not only is he a good person and partner, but he is also an awesome dad as well. Story 8. Their default expectation is that people are generally good. I don't mean that they are naive. They are aware that some people are unpleasant and that crime happens. But they don't automatically assume strangers are up to no good or that people are trying to deceive them. They're willing to extend a bit of grace when someone is a bit rude. Maybe that person is just having an off day. Story 9. They treat ugly and fat people like people. So many times as a big person I've been overlooked and literally cut out of group conversations because of my size. I had confirmation of this, not just guessing. The good person would always bring me into the conversation and talk to me outside of the group. Story 10. I'm a kind person, but my partner? He's a good man. No one will scroll far enough to read this, so why not brag about him? My partner is almost 50, a big, quiet man. He's been working in construction for over 30 years. He hires subcontractors to do a lot of the specialized jobs, like painters. He's been hiring these painters for as long as he's been in the business. About a week or so ago, the owners of the home they are building were having a holiday party for the crew, interior designer, and architect. My partner received a mug and Christmas card. Inside was a nice bonus in cash. He thanked them and went to check on the rest of the crew. He noticed all the main crew received the mug and a card with some cash except the 5 painters. They just received mugs, which is fine. The owners didn't need to give anyone anything. That's up to the business they work for. But my partner knows these guys. This year, they had lost the owner of the painting business and the father of one of them. 2 of the guys just started families. They are like his main crew. He took his bonus, gave each of them some of the money, and wished them a Merry Christmas. They tried to refuse. They told him they were fine. But my quiet partner did what he does best. Ignored them and walked off. No need for props or thank yous. Just a good heart. That is a good man. Story 11. Cut them in half and count the rings. The smaller the number of rings, the bigger an asshole they are. You may have to do more than one for comparison purposes. I did. Story 12. Actively listening to you as you are talking. Engaging in conversations that you have started or are interested in. Will show up when they say they are coming. Can turn down your event without being rude about it, such as saying yes then not showing up or using an excuse not to go. Story 13. They don't blame their upbringing for how cruel they are to people. Everyone has seen an asshole being an asshole. We all don't walk around spreading it. Story 14. They get along with people from all walks of life. It takes a good-hearted person to see someone for who they are and not what the world might judge them for. Story 15. When you are having a conversation with a group and you try to chime in but get cut off, they will pick up on that and try to fit you back into the conversation. Not sure if I worded that correctly. Story 16. Getting mistreated. In my experience, people with the best hearts are treated the worst by others. So if you see someone get mistreated, they might be incredibly kind themselves. Story 17. They are able to be happy for other people. It's a vanishing skill these days to be able to just honestly be happy for someone who succeeds and not be snarky about it. Story 18. A story from just now today. I have a friend who got hurt a few days ago, needed hospitalization. She came back to her home after surgery, and family members were helping her, friends were helping her, etc. She can hardly move, back and spine all tore up. During this time, one of her friends, a guy who I assumed was just sort of a simpleton and probably would be scarce until she was hot again, showed up at her house while we were there helping her. He said hi, and then went into the kitchen and cleaned it. Then he made her favorite meal, boxed it up, put it in the fridge, told her it was there when she needed it, cleaned up any mess and said, bye. He literally showed up to talk to no one, just to clean and leave her something nice, and never made a big deal, didn't even disrupt our conversations. After he left, we wandered into the kitchen to find it spotless. Even the pot he used for cooking was washed and put away. Seems he tidied up the entryway too. I suppose he might still be a simpleton, but if he is, he's not asking for attention and he's super helpful. I've decided I think he's great. Story 19. It's a social convention that people should do good things in secret. Maybe we should incentivize being a decent human. So young men have role models and life becomes less of a billionaire rat race competition. Story 20. When you're in a conversation with multiple people and you keep getting interrupted, they might say something like, wait, what were you saying about that? To make sure you're included and to show that they are listening. Story 21. Here's one you mention, man, I have to get to this location. And the person goes, oh, don't worry, I can give you a ride. For no reason but to be nice. You'll notice a lot of people never offer this. Good people do. Story 22. They speak positively about others. It's the opposite of criticizing people behind their back and shows that they don't just pretend to be nice to others for their own gain. Story 23. Looking at these answers, I cannot help but feel that we have a very low bar for what makes a good person. I thought most of this would be just common decency. Or is there now a difference? Story 24. They ask you about something you told them before to see how things are going. They remember little bits of information about you and ask you about it. Story 25. They notice the neglected solo person, for example, the overly introverted one in the gathering, the one not selected for an activity and feeling awkward, and make sure that person gets to join in. Story 26. I was one of 40 or so people from my church feeding the homeless at the Salvation Army shelter one night. I dumped a bag of dinner rolls into a bowl. Don't just dump them, our group leader said. Presentation is important. I rearranged them nicely, treating everyone with respect, whether they are guests in your home or homeless people in a shelter, is a mark of a genuinely good person. Story 27. When they talk about politics, they get upset about how it is going to affect even the people spreading the misinformation. That takes an overabundance of empathy for a fellow human being. Story 28. They actually use those almost extinct words like please and thank you. Start listening for it. You'll be surprised how infrequently you hear it. Story 29. Something as simple as saying hello to the elderly can make a difference. Just a good afternoon. I hope your day is going well. Or, I really like that scarf. Hellos and subtle compliments can go a long way. Story 30. They respect your personal boundaries. They help out whenever they can. They tell the truth. They don't gossip about others. They want you to be happy even if they don't benefit from it. Story 31. They return the shopping cart. They acknowledge or say hi to homeless people. They are kind to service staff. Basically, people who are good when there aren't consequences for not being good. Story 32. It can honestly be the slightest of glances, making eye contact with someone when another person is being annoying, nodding in appreciation for holding the door, waving somebody to cross the road, or being able to make fun of someone and they give it right back and you both laugh, to apologizing when they're wrong. There are so many. It's kind of a you know it when you see it kind of thing. Story 33. People vary depending on the situation. One person may be very considerate when walking but very different in another scenario. Another may be a jerk on the road but nice in the workplace. Story 34. Saying please and thank you, pushing their chair in, holding the door open for others, and genuinely being attentive to what you are saying and not being dismissive. Story 35. They do not feel the need to farm karma by reposting an old AskReddit headline that has already been milked to death. Story 36. They give a chance for the silent ones to speak their mind too in a group talk. Or rather, they create the chance because the silent ones are too shy to start on their own. Story 37. When they see a stranger drop their food on the floor, spill a drink, or have an unfortunate clumsy mishap, they don't hesitate to jump in and help clean up. Story 38. No such thing. There are only people trying their best to do and to be better. Only a few. Way more people are just trying to get by and do not care about much else. And plenty have a completely opposed view of what is good to your view of good. You do not have subtle ways of knowing whether someone is really good or not, and I would caution you against believing otherwise. Story 39. They do not avoid helping those they do not like. I hate some people. However, all of that goes straight out the window when someone needs help. I get it, we all struggle. If I care enough to dislike you, I care enough about you to see you succeed. Story 40. The way they speak about other people. If they never complain or gossip about people needlessly, and don't bring other people up in conversation unless they have something kind or funny to say about them. They also don't react or make a fuss if you do something embarrassing in front of them. Story 41. Talking to others below their social class as equals and friends. This goes somewhat beyond treat your service sector workers well, because it's about making the extra effort beyond what good manners require to remove the social distance between people. Also, people who do not engage in idle gossip and try to be extremely mindful of what they share about others when they are not present. Story 42. They do not swear. They hold doors for others. They say good morning every morning. They are polite in their language. They treat all people with respect, well, those that deserve it. They care about their family. They help their neighbors. Story 43. I do not believe in good and evil. They are illusions of our emotions. There are actions of harm and actions of benefit. You can apply those to yourself or other things, and that is the sum of human existence. Story 44. A sturdy moral compass. Although some lack a moral compass altogether, lots of people have what I think of as a dollar store moral compass. It points in the right direction when things are easy, but it fails the moment conditions are rough or complicated. Kind to those less powerful. The old test, how do they treat a server in a restaurant, is pretty reliable. In general, people who kiss up, kick down are unpleasant. Good behavior with no reward in mind. Will they do the right thing when no one's watching? Are they principled? Story 45. The way other people will talk about them or react when they enter a space. I was walking past the front desk at a previous job and the receptionist, who was talking to a guest, said, "Oh, and this is Sam. He works here and is the most helpful person ever." I don't think of myself as helpful, but I do believe the way a person treats people throughout the workplace hierarchy shows how much they value people and their character. Anyways, I went back later to ask her why she said that, and she said, "Well, every time I'm running late to the reception desk and can't get a coffee, you always get me one. Plus, whenever you walk by and I need help answering something or directing someone, you always make yourself available or take the person where they need to go. And you've covered the front desk for me, so I can sneak away to go to the bathroom." I felt like those things may have happened half a dozen times, and I was always on my way to get myself my free coffee when I saw she didn't have hers. For that, I don't think I'm a good person, but I think it just goes to show you what people value in life and that most people set a low bar for us to step over. Story 46. They willingly do for others without expecting any recognition. For example, blood donors and donating to charity. If you're willing to take time out of your life to make someone else's better, then you're a good person in my eyes. Helping others means nothing if you're plastering it all over social media for praise. Story 47. They do something good or kind even when absolutely nobody is watching, and they'll get no credit for it. Doing good without expecting a reward, whether it's money, social clout, good karma with their God, etc., is true goodness.